is up and what is going on, Gridiron fans? I am the Gridiron Guy, and this is my mock draft madness. Okay, first things first. This is the Draft Network's draft machine, so don't beat me up over the draft order. I will be making all of the picks, so feel free to make your comments about all of those. If you haven't been here before, please click that subscribe button so you can see all my future content, as well as in the future I'm going to have some Madden content. I'm going to start doing a team-by-team 7-round breakdown. I also want to do a positional breakdown for this draft. Once these playoffs are over, it's all about the combine, it's all about the draft. So we're only a couple weeks away from full draft season. Okay? So, with all that being said, let's get started. Alright. First pick, it's going to be pretty obvious. I don't think it's going to change. It's probably damn near impossible it's going to change. But it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence to the Jags. The Jags need a franchise quarterback. They need a pro-ready quarterback. They need the greatest talent to come out of the draft as a quarterback since Andrew Luck. That's Trevor Lawrence. All right, pick number 2 is where this draft really starts now. And, you know, the Jets haven't hired a new head coach yet. As of this video. So, and I'm not 100% sold that the Jets are going to move on from Sam Darnold now that they've fired Gase. Okay? If Gase had stayed, I think Sam Darnold stayed. For some stupid reason. If Gase ever stayed. But I do think that whoever comes in is not going to be willing to give up on Sam Darnold. He's got 2 years left on his contract. And let's get the guy some, real weapons. He's had Jameson Crowder, but that's really it. Offensive line's always been suspect. He hasn't had a great running back. Well, okay, yeah. He did have Le'Veon Bell, but Le'Veon Bell was basically washed up at that point. You know, he sat out a year. Besides the point, that offensive line has been terrible. Almost the whole time he's been there. Mekhi Becton is now one of those pieces that they got there who's doing pretty well. Why don't you double up and go and get the best offensive tackle prospect in this draft, and that's Penei Sewell. Okay? And you go forward with Sam Darnold. Or maybe you draft a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round and just kind of maybe groom him. Maybe a guy that this new head coach finds that would better fit his system, but he's not willing to give up on Sam Darnold yet. You know, crazy things could happen. Okay. Now the Dolphins are in an interesting position. There are probably 3 or 4 players on this board they'd be willing to take. All 3 of the wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Waddle, Smith. They wouldn't mind taking Kyle Pitts, Patrick Surtain, Kwity Paye, Parsons, Farley. Even some of the offensive tackle prospects like Joseph Asai. Any of these guys, they would be happy with, I believe. And they do have 2 first-round picks. So, the Dolphins say, number 3 is up for business. We are willing to trade out from number 3. So teams start calling. Okay? Okay, so we had a massive trade between the Panthers and the Dolphins. The Panthers move up from number 8 to number 5. Or from number 8 to number 3. And the Panthers get the 3rd overall pick. They get a 4th and a 7th this year. Then the Dolphins got a haul. They received the 8th overall pick, a 3rd and a 4th this year, and a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th next year. So, the Dolphins have just maximized their draft capital. They have tons of picks in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds over the next 2 years. They will have a team. They will have a great team. And they only moved down 5 spots to make it happen. So, the Panthers, yes, the Panthers gave up a lot of picks. They got a couple of picks back, a couple of late round picks, but the Panthers cannot risk the Falcons getting Zach Wilson. The Panthers feel that this guy is their franchise quarterback. He could be their franchise guy, a guy that could put them over the top, a playmaker at quarterback. This guy is elusive. He's got a live arm. When this guy lets the ball go, it flies. Okay? He's accurate. He played at BYU without a lot of major weapons. So a lot of times he had to fit things into tight windows. He had to make timing passes. Zach Wilson is used to not working with much. And in the NFL, you don't get much. You're not going to have wide open receivers. Justin Fields has had a lot of wide open receivers, and he has had a ton of time to throw the ball because he has a great offensive line and he has good wide receivers. Zach Wilson has done more or even equal as Justin Fields has with less. Okay? He's on the same level, but he's done more with less. Okay? So, with that being said, moving forward, Zach Wilson, starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Okay? So now the Falcons are not upset. They were willing to take whomever because they still do have Matt Ryan. So the Falcons are going to take Justin Fields. So now the Bengals are pissed. Okay? They're not pissed at anybody because they wanted a quarterback. They're pissed because they wanted Penei Sewell. And they're sitting at 5, which means if the Jets took him, there's nothing they can do about it. So the Bengals are hitting the phones. They're saying, come get this Smith pick. We don't want it now. The guy we wanted isn't here. You know, somebody come get it. Okay. So we had a trade. The Giants got on the phone and they said, we want that 5th overall pick because we want to pick right before the Eagles do. Because we're taking a player that they may want, and that is Jamar Chase. The Eagles, or the Giants rather, wanted to jump ahead of the Eagles and take Jamar Chase because they feel that Jamar Chase could change their future outcome of their offense. He could change the future of their offense. It could give them another major weapon other than Saquon Barkley. Give Daniels a weapon to throw to, a big time playmaker, great route runner. Would fit in perfect, especially since Saquon's coming back and that team wants to run first. They also need to pick up a second running back so that Saquon doesn't have to, carry a major load like he has the last 2 years either. But they're not doing that at number 5 or number 11. So, the Bengals drop down, and the Bengals received the 11th overall pick, a 3rd rounder, a 6th rounder this year and a second and third next year. Bengals just built their draft for the next 2 years as well, and they moved down 6 spots to do so. The Giants received a 5th overall pick and a 7th this year. All right, so the Bengals moved up, from the 7th round to the 6th round and picked up a 3rd round pick and slid down in the 1st round and picked up a 2nd and 3rd next year. Massive trade, great trade for the Bengals, especially since they're sitting right in the sweet spot to pick up the 2nd or 3rd best offensive tackle in this draft. All right, so moving forward, the Eagles on the clock. And I think the Eagles have to go. I think the Eagles will take Patrick Surtain. Scratch that. No. I think they'll go Micah Parsons. Let's change it up. They go Micah Parsons. And they get a monster for their defense. Staying in the same state. They're going to draw some of those fans down from Penn State down to the Eagles. It's going to create buzz in the area. You're going to have a new head coach. So why not create buzz in the area? Bring in a local guy, Micah Parsons, come in and destroy it. He will wreak havoc in that division for years to come. Great tackler. They need somebody on that defense who will just dominate. Just dominate. A dog. He will be a great captain, a great leader. I think he is the edge the Eagles are looking for. I think most impact, Surtain can only cover one wide receiver at a time. Or if they grab one of these wide receivers, great impact. But I think Micah Parsons would impact the defense on a high level. All right. The Lions. I think the Lions can't pass up Devonta Smith. Now, you can make the same argument the Eagles shouldn't have passed up Devonta Smith either. The Eagles had a lot of options. They had Surtain, they had Smith, they had Waddle, they had Parsons. They had a lot of options. All right. Now the Dolphins are on the clock. They're sitting here pretty. What are the Dolphins going to do? The Dolphins are going to go back to an Alabama connection. And they're going to pick up Jalen Waddle. I think they were happy with dropping down. They knew they were going to get one of their guys that they wanted. And they picked up a ton of draft capital in the process. A ton. They are set for the next 2 years. The draft capital. And they're already a team that was on the cusp of making the playoffs. So to pick up more, drop down a few picks, pick up more draft picks, and you already still have a second pick in this first round at 18. So it was a genius move to drop down a few picks, gain players or gain picks for the future, and you're still going to get 2 first-round picks out of this draft. It's a no-brainer. All right. So now the Broncos are on the clock. The Broncos are saying, hey, there's some good stuff on this board for us. Kwity Paye, Caleb Farley, but we're not going to pass up on Patrick Surtain. We have to take Patrick Surtain. And look at that. We had a run on Alabama players. 3 Alabama players in a row. All right. Now the Cowboys are like, all right, well, you got Surtain. We can't pass up Caleb Farley. We have to take Caleb Farley. The Cowboys defense cannot afford to not get a secondary player in this draft. Their secondary is depleted. Their defense was terrible this past season. They couldn't get after the quarterback. They couldn't stop anybody on the back end. They were just giving up massive amounts of points and passing yards. All right. So now the Bengals are sitting pretty. The Bengals are like, all right, well, we dropped down. We picked up like 6 picks. Okay, so they gained a 3rd-round pick and a 6th-round pick this year. They gave up their 7th, so really their 7th-round pick, whatever. A 7th-round pick is almost nothing. But they pick up a 2nd and 3rd next year. That's huge. That's huge. To have 2 seconds and 2 thirds in the same draft, that's good. That's good. That means you're going to get multiple shots. You're going to get 5 shots at top 100 picks. All right. So the Bengals slide down, and it's obvious, they have to protect Joe Burrow. They got to protect their money. And their money's on Joe Burrow right now. So they go Christian Ruosseau. Now, Christian Ruosseau, great left tackle. This guy is a starting left tackle. So you can move Jonah Williams over to right tackle. You could bump Jonah Williams inside to guard, whatever you got to do. But Christian Ruosseau should be the starting left tackle on that team. All right. We got the 49ers here. 49ers, I think the 49ers do move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. Dollars and cents wise, it makes a lot of sense. So they're going to need somebody. And that's going to be Trey Lance. Trey Lance. I'm not in love with the 49ers. I don't even really like the 49ers. But I love that Trey Lance fits in so perfect for the 49ers because he's a mobile quarterback who is accurate and takes care of the football. That's exactly what Kyle Shanahan is looking for. He is looking for a accurate quarterback who he can make mobile, get him out of the pocket. Those zone running schemes with the empty bootlegs. Kyle Shanahan's going to go nuts with this guy. And Trey Lance is the perfect fit for what Shanahan's trying to do down there in San Francisco. All right. So, now we're looking at the Chargers. The Chargers need offensive line. Justin Herbert did a lot of good things this year. A lot of good things. Passing yards, broke the record. He did a lot of good things. But a lot of the times, the man was running for his life. Okay, with the Chargers on the clock, they have to go offensive line, and it's got to be Liam Eckenberg. He's a starting left tackle, plug and play, day one starter. He's gonna protect Justin Herbert's blind side. Slam dunk pick. It's got to be a starting left tackle. Cosme's a right tackle. Slater's probably going to end up sliding into guard. He's going to start out as a tackle, but he's probably going to end up being a guard somewhere. Vera Tucker can play inside or outside, but Liam Eckenberg is just a way better left tackle. Jalen Mayfield's a right tackle. Alex Leatherwood's just not the prospect that Eckenberg is. So, it's got to be Eckenberg. All right. Vikings on the clock. Vikings need... Okay, now. Vikings on the clock. Vikings have to go with a guy who can... They need a starting left tackle or a starting left guard. Okay? I think they're going to go Dylan Raduns. Okay? Dylan Raduns, starting left tackle, starting caliber NFL left tackle. But he is best fit into a power run scheme, a heavy run scheme. So, what is that? That is the Vikings. The Vikings are a run-first team. Yeah, Jefferson, Thielen, they get their passes, they get their catches, but all in all, they're a run-first team. Dylan Raduns will fit in perfectly at left tackle for them. All right, Patriots on the clock. Patriots don't pass up Kwity Paye if he's sitting here. Hey, that's obvious. Just think of Gronk, Hernandez, Benjamin Watson, like all the great tight ends that Belichick has drafted. Kyle Pitts falls right into that category. It's not passing him up. All right, Cardinals on the clock. Cardinals are like, man, we have some options here, but we want a guy who's long and lanky and has good bend to him. We need a guy that can play 3-4 or 4-3. We're going with Gregory Ruosseau. Okay? He's all of those things that I just said. He's versatile. Slightly undersized, but versatile. He's long. All right. Raiders on the clock. Raiders have to go edge. Best player available and best edge rusher available and best fit is Kwity Paye. Joseph Ossai, now with the Raiders hiring Gus Bradley, Joseph Ossai could work into the system. Joseph Ossai is mostly a 3-4 outside edge rusher. Kwity Paye is more of a hand in the dirt or 43, 4-3 edge rusher. He's also got the size and build that both Clelin Ferrell and Max Crosby have. So, Mayock and Gruden have proven that they want a guy who's like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and they want him to be in the 265 to 280 range. Kwity Paye is 277 pounds, and he's 6'3". So he fits right in with the mold of player that they want. All right. So now with some players on the board here. Okay, with the Dolphins on the clock. Some of the Dolphins' needs are offensive line and running back. I agree with those. But you're not going to find... Okay, the offensive line depth in this draft is huge. You're probably going to find guys in the 3rd and 4th rounds who are still quality and may even be starters for your team. Depending on what position you need and what kind of scheme you're running, you could find guys in the 3rd and 4th round in this draft that could be plug-and-play starters. And running backs shouldn't always be a very high need, especially in the top 20. But, you can always get a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round and still have a quality player. And there's running backs are a dime a dozen, and teams don't really want to use them as much. It's running back is now a watered down position. It's not highly coveted. It's the day of the workhorse back is over. There are a few teams that still have that concept, but for the most part, it's dead. So, in other words, running back, pretty deep. Offensive line, deep in this draft. But what's not deep is linebacker. It's top heavy, and then there's a big drop off. And if you could get a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Karamoah in the 1st round, and not have to worry about linebacker the rest of the draft. And then you could just focus on grabbing offensive line and running back. Because they do need some offensive help with the Dolphins. And they did help themselves out by getting Jalen Waddle already. So get a stud defender that would fit in perfect with Brian Flores' system of multiple sets, multiple packages. He's a hybrid player. He's a little undersized, but he is a great middle linebacker, great tackler. All right. So now we have Washington football team on the board. All right. Washington football team. The quarterback situation has been depleted. There's not many top quarterbacks. Mac Jones is a fringe first. Kyle Trask is out there. If they really want to take a chance on him, if they think he's the guy of the future, Kyle Trask and Mac Jones. Not really many other players sliding into that spot yet, but we'll see after the combine, see who excels. But whoever that future quarterback is, he's going to need an offensive lineman. So Rashawn Slater will stick as an offensive lineman. They could bring him in, start him at left tackle, but more than likely he's going to have to bounce inside and become a guard. But still, Rashawn Slater has got the skills to make it as a starting caliber offensive lineman in the NFL. He may not work out as a left or right tackle right away, but he will find a way to play on that team, even if he's got to bounce into guard. All right, so now we got the Bears on the clock, and the Bears really need a right tackle. And the best player on the board right now is a right tackle, Samuel Cosmi. Now, with Samuel Cosmi has mostly just played right tackle. So that works out for the Bears. They really need a right tackle. Okay? So now the Colts on the clock. I think the Colts go wide receiver Rashad Bateman. T.Y. Hilton is most likely going to move on. As of this video, he has not made a choice yet. But I think he moves on. I don't think there's really a chance he stays. I think him and Phillip Rivers are out. The old dog's out, new dog's in. Just like, Washington football team and the Bears, they kind of need to go. These three teams kind of need to go quarterback, but maybe they could pick up one of those other quarterbacks in the second round. Maybe they move up in the second round big time. But right now, just build around those future quarterbacks, whomever they are. All right. So moving on, we have the Titans on the clock. The Titans are going to go Joseph Ossai. Joseph Ossai is a multiple sets player. He's a 3-4 edge rusher. He's going to fit in perfectly for the Titans. Plug Joseph Ossai in opposite Harold Landry, and this defense will take it to the next level. He's got bend. He actually has long arms. He's not real big, but he has long arms. All right, so the Jets are on the clock. Now, what are we going to do for the Jets? The Jets secondary was not all that great this year. So I think they go J.C. Horn. They have to go with a big physical corner who can play press man coverage. They need J.C. Horn. They need some juice on that back end, at corner at least. They have two pretty good safeties. Well, one pretty good safety. May's a good safety. But I think Austin Davis will come along, and he could be the other. He could play free safety for them. All right. Now, Let's talk about the Steelers getting blown out by the Browns this week. And one of the reasons they got blown out is because they had to throw the football. They absolutely had to. And, they got their offensive line is getting old. So going offensive line here, it's not a bad option. But like we said earlier, offensive line is extremely deep in this draft, like so deep. You could, like I said, you could get guys in the 3rd and 4th round that could probably be starters for you. The only reason they're going down that far is because it's so deep. So, because of that, I think they go Travis Etienne. I think James Conner is going to end up going into free agency anyway, so it's going to be more of a need now that they get Travis Etienne, and maybe they could even pick up a second guy in the 3rd or 4th round, as well as some offensive line. The defense is set for the Steelers. They have a great defense, even though it didn't really show it this week. The offense gave up a lot of those points, the turnovers and everything. But I think if they had a running game, they could lean on their defense more instead of having to throw the ball 40, 60 times a game, whatever they do. They have great wide receivers. They have good weapons at wide receiver. They even have a good weapon at tight end for now. But they need better juice at running back. And I think if they go Travis Etienne, he's their guy. All right. Jags on the clock. Same scenario. You know what? Like we've mentioned, offensive line is deep in this draft. The Jags pick in like another 6 or 7 picks. They can still snag an offensive lineman. There's plenty of offensive linemen on this board still. Just here towards the top. But what is not super deep in this draft is tight end. So Pat Freiermuth to the Jags. It gives Trevor Lawrence a weapon to throw to, as well as Laviska Shenault and Robinson, D.D. Westbrook, DJ Shark. Now they have a tight end to go with those guys. Now, the rest of this draft, offensive line and defensive depth, and the Jags could be something next year. It really could be. All right. Browns on the clock. The Browns need a guy opposite Denzel Ward, and I think they go Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes, press man corner, played in Georgia, so he's used to stiff competition. He's used to playing against those SEC wide receivers, ones in Alabama, the ones at LSU last year, the ones at Florida this year also. So, he's battle tested. He's ready to go. All right, we got the Bucs on the clock. I think the Bucs might be looking for a versatile player for offense. I don't see Antonio Brown sticking around on that team, so they may need a wide receiver. But I think they're gonna go the best offensive player available. And that's Najee Harris. I don't. You pair him with Rojo. I don't think Leonard Fournette's going to stick around and play second or third fiddle to Rojo and Najee Harris. So I think he's gonna scoot. I don't think LaShawn McCoy is gonna stay there. So having a two-headed monster in the backfield could be a good option. Especially, I'm like 99% positive Tom Brady's still gonna be there. So Tom Brady loves those running backs behind him. All right. Now I think the Ravens could go a number of ways. They do need a offensive. They do need a replacement for Yanda, but I don't know if they can pass up the prospect of Terrace Marshall, especially since they do need some down the field weapons. They need more. They need a possession guy who's also a great route runner. And this year at LSU, Terrace Marshall played 4 games. He was balling out. He was showing out. He was showing that he was not, the weak link with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. He was showing that those 3 guys are probably on the same level, even though Jamar Chase shined above the other 2. All right. So now we got the Saints on the board, and the Saints cannot pass up Zaven Collins. This dude is a monster. He is a monster inside linebacker. He's going to change the outlook of that defense. He can play inside, outside. He can rush the passer. He's versatile. Good at stopping the run. He's decent in coverage. Decent. If you ask him to drop into his zone, he'll be all right. And that's what the Saints do. They drop in his zone and they don't play a ton of man. All right. Bills on the clock. And I think the Bills are going to go Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton was one of the best linebackers in college this year. I think Nick Bolton translates well to the NFL as well as the Bills. Bills need a little bit more juice there in that second level at the linebacker position. They need more tackling. All right. Now, I say this a lot, but the Packers should have gotten Aaron Rodgers a wide receiver in this past draft. Just screwing him over and picking up a backup quarterback. So, I think if they go and get a guy like Kadarius Toney, this guy's a gadget guy. You could throw him screens. You could line him up in the backfield. You could give him end arounds. This guy is another weapon, but a weapon in the form of a Swiss Army knife. Okay? Aaron Rodgers will be able to set this guy up for success. You can give him touch passes. You can give him end arounds. You can give him screen passes. He's also pretty good at catching the deep ball, so he can take some pressure off with Devontae Adams. Definitely. I think he definitely finds himself in the starting lineup. Not to mention, he does not drop passes like some of the other wide receivers that he already has. This guy's got pretty good hands. All right, and to round out the first round, the Chiefs need interior offensive line. They need help on the interior. It's got to be Elijah Vera-Tucker. Elijah Vera-Tucker, he's played some left tackle. He's played inside offensive line. So, he's very well, he can play anywhere on the offensive line at this point, except center. But there's the draft. My first round. There's that last pick. So, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe. A lot of you that watch these videos are not subscribers. I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I'm really planning on doing a lot of content coming up soon. So, I'm working on some things. So, if you want to see some of that stuff, please subscribe. Click that little bell so you can get the notifications for my future uploads. And I am the Gridiron Guy, and I am out.